Coleman Goode. I'm from Hallettsville, Texas. When I was 25 years old, I checked myself into a mental hospital because I tried to commit suicide. I also, at that time, had left my boyfriend who was living with HIV. I was on meth, crystal meth. I'd been doing that for on and off for 2 years, so my life was not at its highest point. I found myself one day in this lime green two-toned room with a nurse coming into the room and sitting down in front of me. It was March 21st, 2006, and she told me that I was HIV positive. I remember staring at her, and I think she was waiting for me to have a reaction, but I didn't, and so she responded, "Well, you don't seem to be too surprised," and I'll never forget this. I said, "Well, if you've been doing the things I've been doing, you wouldn't be surprised." I remember leaving the room, and I remember just feeling like the entire world fell down on me. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm 25 and I'm now HIV positive. I'm probably gonna die. These are thoughts that went through my mind because I didn't know anyone with HIV. I didn't know what that looked like. I just didn't know what my life was gonna look like after that. So I broke down. I'm in this mental hospital with people I don't even know, but they came up to me and they were hugging me and they were being supportive, and they didn't know me. Like, they were some people I just met maybe the day before, but it was such support that I didn't understand it or didn't really expect it. I feel like the nurses have to be supportive, but these are like people, like actual patients. And I jokingly said my time in the hospital was like Girl Interrupted. I was like Winona Ryder, and we were just these cast of characters of like, the island of misfit toys, and we were cast away, and yet there was this moment of real connection, and it felt very genuine. I actually decided to call my mom, and so I remember picking up the phone and calling her and just letting her know where I was, because at that point, my mom and I weren't really that close. So I don't think I had spoken to her probably in months. And so I called her and got her on the phone and told her that I was HIV positive and that I was, suffering from depression, and I was in a mental hospital because I tried to kill myself. And she just was like, okay. She later told me that when she hung up the phone, she broke down and started crying. And I knew that was gonna hurt her, but it was the first time I was ever actually able to be really honest with her in a very long time. And I think that later played very greatly into our relationship getting a lot better. Later, when I was released from the hospital after being there for about 3 months, getting myself care, finding out that I was suffering from depression, I had a great therapist who was this lesbian, and she was telling me about all these great things to do in the community, and just kind of helping me, I guess, feel good about myself, and telling me that there is support for me. The whole experience in the hospital, and it sounds really crazy, but it was so beautiful because I just felt very supported. For the first time, I felt very, very supported by people that didn't know me and I felt like they didn't have, there was nothing they could get out of supporting me and loving me, but it was very beautiful for me. The hospital set up so I can go to a HIV positive sober house living facility, and so I got moved there, and from there I decided to go to treatment. I decided that maybe treatment was a better option for me. And so I got to be in this 90-day program with people living with HIV, and I got to be newly diagnosed and work through what that meant and work through what my life was gonna be like. Through this same program, through the same agency, I was able to move into another halfway house, which is for people that are living with HIV, all the way up through a 3-quarter home, and stayed sober for about 2 years. And another HIV service agency helped me get a job. They did job training, and they found me an apartment. I was getting my life together. I was making friends and developing relationships and finding my first community. I would love to say that I stayed sober for all this time since then and that things were magically better, but it wasn't, and I haven't. I've struggled with my sobriety. I've struggled with my mental illness. Luckily, because of the support I have, it never got to the point where it was in 2005, where I was alone and felt desperate enough to take my own life. If you would have told me in 2005, when I'd been diagnosed at 25 and being HIV positive on March 21st, that I would be where I am today, that I would be an advocate, that I get to go into the community and teach about advocacy and go to Washington, D.C. and go on the Hill and fight against the Trump administration. I would have laughed. I just would have laughed because that's not what I thought my life would be. Slowly and surely, it's gotten better. And I've developed this really good core of people around me, and I've found my place in the gay community. The value of surrounding myself with good positive people is just, I can't really put a price on it. And it's just really important, I think, for people to understand that there is a place for them. They might just have to look for it or make their own place, but there is a place for people. And I think you don't have to be alone, if you don't want to be.